Hello everyone, and welcome to this devlog. This week we're starting a new project. After finishing the racing game last week, we're doing a whole new project now. And this week I wanted to work on doing an interior room generator. So I wanted to be able to detect rooms and then generate the contents of those rooms procedurally. So I want to start off by talking about what it is that I want to be able to achieve with this and kind of the level of detail I want to get into. And then we'll go and talk about what it is that I've done this week. So firstly, I'm using Cinti's low poly town asset pack. Because it means I have these module buildings now that I can build my own rooms with, as well as having this building here which already has all the detail inside of it, so I can use this as a control group. So if we go ahead and fly in, we can see they've already furnished their rooms. So I can kind of use this as kind of a base idea as to how it is I should be generating my content inside the rooms themselves. And so I can use this as kind of a way to quickly get an idea of what it is that it should be doing to generate each room. This means at the end of the project I can compare my interior that I've generated against his handcrafted interior to see whether it's kind of looking the same. And so this house here is basically going to become the control sample that I'm going to compare my generator against to make sure it's looking the right way. And so hopefully by the end of the project we'll be able to define the function of a room like a living room or a bedroom, and then kind of create enough detail like this is currently where we have the sofas and the TV and the table and the bottles on top of the table. So that's kind of the level of detail that I really want to be able to generate off of this. And so hopefully that explains the idea and kind of what I want to have as the outcome from this project. But with that, let's go and have a look at what we've done this week. So there's really two parts to this project. The first is a room detector, which is what I've been currently working on, where I can detect where the rooms are, as well as all the data I need from those rooms, like where the doors are going to be, where the edges of the walls are, where the center of the room is. And so I can kind of generate then objects around the outside or make sure that the doorway is clear. And then the second part is actually filling in the content inside the room. I'm going to be using an object relationship hierarchy. An object relationship hierarchy basically means that I'm kind of connecting objects together to form kind of a relationship between them. So if we took, for instance, the living room scene where we had the TV and the sofa was pointing towards the TV, and so there was a relationship between that sofa and the TV. And then you have that coffee table in the middle, so there's kind of that relationship between all those objects. And this will also mean too, so that we can have stuff like, we got a table, we can have stuff above and below the table, like chairs tucked in or dinner plates on top of the table. So there's kind of that relationship between all these objects. So as I said, this week I've been working on trying to detect the insides of these rooms. And so there's kind of 3 steps that I'm using to do that at the moment. The first is I go through and I do an initial raycast down different columns and rows. And I basically check to see whether it hits the 4 directions, so up, down, left and right. And if it hits all 4, then it can determine that this rough square here is where a room is going to be. And then what I do is I do an overlap test to that. So if there's 2 squares that are overlapping each other, then they will kind of merge together to get a bigger area that it believes this room actually is contained inside of. And so in a more complicated shaped room that isn't just a box, you can see that it starts to generate these different layers. And so there's kind of 3 different areas that it thinks this room can be fulfilled in. And it checks that they're all overlapping each other. And it gives this one giant area here that it believes that this room could be filling this space in. And so once we determine the rough area we believe the room is in, we can look at it in a more detailed way, doing smaller raycasts that you detect where like the edges of the walls are going to be, which is indicated in red here. Green indicates where the door is, blue are going to be corners, and then this kind of magenta kind of color is just anything that's not at the edge of the wall but is still inside the room. The third step also deals with removing bits that are not inside the room itself. This area here is defining the rough shape that it believes the room could be in, but it's not actually inside the room itself. And so when we click play, you can see that this area here is actually being removed because it doesn't hit any of the walls. And so it kind of culls away the bits that aren't actually part of the room. The process also works when 2 non-box shaped rooms are next to each other. So you can see this area is defined here, and this room's area is defined here. But if you just go along the process a bit more, you can see that these 2 rooms don't share any space between them, so this room is actually contained inside this room and this area is inside this room. And so now that I can detect rooms and I have the data inside the room itself, like where the doors are and the edges and the corners and the extra space in the middle, I can start to actually populate this with objects now. And so I think this week's task is going to be to start spawning objects around the edge of the room and start setting up that object relationship hierarchy that I need to do. And so I'm hoping I've explained kind of what it is that I want to do and what I've done so far in a way that you can kind of understand it. It's kind of a really weird and complicated process, I know. But if there's anything that you don't understand and maybe you want me to clarify more upon in the next video, go drop it in the comment section down below. I'll get around to maybe reiterating over it a bit better as to what it is that I've done. But with that, I want to thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next week.